So welcome back to another video, and as you can tell by the title, we're going to talk about my fear of heights in this video. Because recently I got asked about that by a viewer, because in several different places, like I revisited Mount Davis, the highest point in Pennsylvania. I climbed that observation tower. I talked about how I didn't really care for it because of my fear of heights. But then I was down in Shenandoah National Park recently as well, a bunch of those overlooks, and the viewer said you don't seem to mind those overlooks, but yet when you climb the observation tower, you kind of get freaked out by it. You know, what's the difference between the two? And I thought, that's a good question. I replied to them, I might talk about that in a future video, so I was kind of thinking about it. I was like, you know what? That might make a good video. Talk about fear of heights. So a fear of heights is often referred to as acrophobia, and I looked it up this morning, and I'm not sure that everybody that has a fear of heights has what's called acrophobia. They define acrophobia as an extreme fear of heights. Yeah, so an extreme or like a debilitating fear of heights. I don't really know that I have that. I think there's probably different levels of acrophobia or a fear of heights. And everybody's different. Because recently my friend Day Hike Dave made a video about that. He climbed an observation tower. He was describing how he feels, and everybody's different about that. Like some people just stepping up on a chair, like to change a light bulb, and it gives them vertigo, and gives them like a fear of heights. Or climbing a 6 or an 8 foot step ladder is terrifying to them. For me, that's not. So I think everybody's different in that regard. There's whole different levels of it. So I'm not sure that I don't have like an extreme form of acrophobia. And you can learn to overcome a fear of heights to a certain degree. I know I've experienced that in different situations. Back when I lived on my little farm, I often had to do roof repair. And initially, going up that ladder to the top of the roof was very difficult. It's difficult for me, especially like maybe getting off and on the ladder once you're on the roof. But the reality is, the more I did it, the more I got used to it. It does work that way. Or even the more time you spend up on the roof, you do get more comfortable with it. Maybe not fully comfortable with it, but you kind of develop a tolerance for it. But what's the difference for me? Why do I struggle climbing like an observation tower or a fire tower, but yet I can walk out to one of these overlooks? It has, for me, this is different for everybody, but for me it's the openness. Like when you're climbing up that observation tower, it's just completely open all around you, and it just feels weird, I guess, to my mind. And recently too, I was at what's it called, the Salisbury Viaduct, if I'm saying that correctly this time. There's a railroad viaduct going across a valley. Even that gave me a little bit of a creeps, because it did have sides to it. You're kind of walking on this like a bridge. It has sides to it, but the sides were like an open grate side, so you could still see back through the sides. Because I've walked across other viaducts that were not an issue for me, but they had like wooden or concrete walls, so you couldn't necessarily see, not this high, but like this high. So it makes me feel more secure. But when it's open like that, it just gives me the EBGBs a little bit. Because years ago, someone dared me to cross an abandoned railroad bridge with them, and that creeped me out. But because there was no sides to that, but I did make it across. And going back to the thing that you get used to it, when I first started crossing that, I was terrified, but by the end I was getting more used to it. But then I had to come back, and that went even better for me. So for me, I think it has a lot to do with the openness around me, or how secure you feel as you're going up. You're just walking up this little waterfall here. Kind of cool. And also, when I was climbing up that walking up that observation tower, even the steps, they're open grate steps, so you can see right through the steps. Everything feels open. Whereas when I'm on an overlook, I'm standing on rocks. I can't see through the rocks down below anywhere. I usually don't get too close to the edge of the overlook. A lot of times behind me there's a mountain or rock or something solid. It just feels a lot more solid on those overlooks. So I feel a lot more comfortable there. Because I feel more secure, if that makes sense. If that rocky overlook was all open all around me and I could see through the rocks down below and stuff, that makes any sense. Or like those, if you ever seen videos, I've never been on one, but like some of those buildings, they like have a glass walkway. You can imagine walking across like a viaduct or a bridge and it was all glass on the bottom. That would freak me out. Okay, I don't know if I could handle that. So I think it has a lot to do with the openness of the situation where I'm at. Because there's other observation towers I've been at. I think there's Bowman's Hill over there in Bucks County. I've climbed up different lighthouses. And they all have different feels and anxiety levels as you're climbing up them. You just had a bunch of people on horseback pass me, go back to that waterfall. But yeah, back to these towers. Because a lot of those towers have like spiral staircases that go up. Depending on the situation there, it can creep me out. There's a lot of horse poo on the trail here. That's fine. I forget what I'm saying. And there they go. Yeah, so what was I talking about? But yeah, some of those towers, they have like the spiral staircase that goes all the way up. Those can creep me out because if there's a drop off on the one, like if there's no inner wall in the staircase and you can see all the way down to the bottom of the lighthouse, that can be difficult for me. But I can usually do those because on the other side of me there's a wall. If that makes sense. The one side of me feels completely insecure because it's a drop off going all the way down. But on the other side of me there's a wall that I feel that I'll walk along the wall rather than the railing that goes, that's the part that goes down. Some of those towers actually have an inner wall too, so you can't see down to the bottom. Those I can do, even though I know I'm going up. So that's kind of the issue for me, is that openness. If I can see all the way down one side or things like that. I know some overlooks can be very open too. I know, like my friend Brett, Topo Ranger, was just recently at Rock State Park in Maryland, what they call it the King's Seat. And that's when at that overlook there's a rock outcrop that you can walk out onto, but it drops off steeply on either side. So it's like it goes out to like a point. I remember being there, I could not walk all the way out to the very end. I made it decently out there, but I think I had to, how'd that work? I think at one point I had to get on my, had to like crawl a little bit, I think. I forget how that went. But that overlook was difficult for me because there was a drop off on either side of me. Whereas not all overlooks are like that. Many there's just a drop off on one side, but behind you is rock or mountain and you feel secure about that. So I guess I can explain a little bit better my fear of heights, why the overlooks don't bother me that much, but yet climbing up a fire tower or an observation tower does. Hey, but if you have a fear of heights and you would describe yours, you can do so down in the comments. Like I said, everybody's fear of heights is different. Are you like one of those worst people that is absolutely terrified just getting up on a stool to stand up to reach, upper cabins? Does that just freak you out? Like some people get like vertigo just from doing that. Or are you one of those crazy people that, will, oh yeah, recently I was just talking with, my eye doctor. My eye doctor's an outdoors person. I've taught his kids too, all of them actually. But he was talking about this one guy that does free climbing. You know what that is? There's people that climb mountains with ropes, and there's people that do it without ropes. I mean, this guy climbs some really, what's that place out at Yosemite? Half Dome? You ever seen the videos on that? He climbed that without ropes. You ever see people do that? And like these huge, like that would, like you have to have absolutely no fear of heights to do that. Yeah, there's no way I could even, I don't even like watching people do that. Or like when people stick, like it was talking about Brett Topo Ranger at King's Seat. He was sticking his GoPro out over the edge. Like just even that, I'd like block the screen. That gives me the, yeah. Or Ryan, my friend Ryan, Hiker Dude Dad does that sometimes. Sticks the camera like way out over the edge. Day Hike Dave, you do that too sometimes. I can't watch that. It's just like going over that edge and looking down. That's kind of, it brings back that openness, I guess. But anyway, let me know down below about your fear of heights too. Or your lack of fear of heights. Are you one of those people that could free climb a mountain? It's like I said at the beginning, I'm not really sure that my fear of heights would necessarily be classified as acrophobia because it's not really extreme or debilitating. Like I could climb that observation tower. I just didn't enjoy it. It did make me uncomfortable, but like I said too, like I can get used to that. Like I'm working on a farm, I could get used to being up at heights. The more I worked on the roof, the more comfortable I got. wasn't really a debilitating fear. So if I climbed more observation towers, maybe I would get more used to it. Or maybe if I climbed that observation tower every day or multiple times during the day, I would get more used to it probably. Well, I know I would. I just don't do it enough. And I probably could go higher too with time. But yeah, so that kind of describes my fear of heights, like I said. And it's different for everybody. But I just thought I'd make a quick video about it. It's an interesting topic. It affects everybody differently. So, but like I said, feel free to comment down below what your experiences are with that. Alright, but I think that'll be it for this video. Like I said, I got a question from somebody about that. I think in the past, some people had asked about that too, because they'd see me at overlooks, but then I have this fear of like climbing a tower, so, but that's kind of explains why, maybe. Alright, thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll see you on the next one.